Hello there. Welcome back to the Fairfax Files. The case that we are going to cover today is very close to my heart. It actually happened in the area that I was living in when I was a little girl with my mom, my dad, and my 4 siblings. You see, to understand the whole entire story, I need to go back way in history. But this is the thing. I'm going to keep the names of the characters fictitious, something I never do in the cases on this channel. I always give the names and the information of the people so you can look up all of the cases yourself and draw your own conclusions. But because this case is so close to my heart and some of the people who are affected by this may watch this, I would prefer to keep the names fictitious. We will name the mother who was taken way too soon, Trish. Now, this was a neighborhood that was filled with a lot of children, a lot of families, a lot of happiness. Trish was a Rasta woman. She had long, beautiful dreads, and she was the type of woman that you would call an empress, a queen. She's the type of woman that could cook a meal and help fight a revolution at the same time. Her children, all 6 of them, were very well behaved. Not one complaint came from the school, the daycares, or the neighbors. She made sure that she was on point with these 6 children. All of them also had dreadlocks, and she raised them in such a way that it gave grace to her family. Now, she was a single mother, and although she was well known in the community, she never really dated any men until one day, Carl came into her life. Now, Carl was also well known in the same community, and another reason why I want to be a little more confidential with this case, because I also know Carl's family as well. And I wouldn't want to drudge up his name and have the family affected. It took us a long time in our area to get over this murder. Carl was a very silent guy. Have you ever heard the words or the phrase, silent? Be careful of the silent ones. Well, you don't have to be careful of all silent people. Some silent people are just shy until you get to know them, and then they can be very funny and very intelligent, very outgoing within a one-on-one basis, but not in a group setting. So you don't have to necessarily be careful of the quiet ones. But it is true that the quiet ones are deep thinkers. They hold their emotions in a lot of the times instead of allowing their emotions to flow freely and show people exactly what's going on the inside. They don't allow it to come out on the outside. And that was Carl. Carl was tall, 6 feet tall, very polite. He came from a family where his brothers were very outspoken, very loud, very funny. They all played sports. They really loved basketball. But Carl, not really. He did play basketball. He did hang around the guys, but he had a simple way about him, an easygoing aura, if you will. His energy seemed peaceful and calm at all times. Not one little bit of violent nature was around him. That's why this whole story took everybody by surprise. So Carl and Trish started to date, and wow, it just went around our whole neighborhood. We were so surprised. My mother was a caregiver to some of Trish's children. So my mom knew Trish personally and really always said very nice things about her. But when she got with Carl, all of us were like, wow, this is very different, but we all welcomed it. Not that we had a choice, but you know how neighbors can sometimes be chatty and negative, and they try to get in people's business to persuade them or dissuade them. Nobody did that in this situation. Everyone accepted this relationship. Everyone put blessings on the relationship. They thought, wow, this looks like a match made in heaven. We all would see Carl just melt and mesh into the family role, the role that he took on as a father in that 6 children, single mom family. He was walking her kids to school, taking them to daycare, making sure that they were clean and well taken care of, even at one point holding the hand of one of the children to make sure that she felt safe. It was beautiful to see 2 people come together, a man who didn't have children of his own take on 6 children, and not one of them was his, and loved them like they were. Some time went on, and then you could start feeling the shift. You see, no one really saw Carl with any women prior to Trish. It could be because he maybe was an incel. If you don't know what an incel is, that's a person who is involuntarily celibate. Maybe he was one because he was so quiet. Back in the day, there was no internet. There were no dating sites at this time either. There were no cell phones. I'm going way back. And so it was probably really difficult for him to find a woman. You see, all the guys that he hung around with were outgoing, and they were always playing basketball and loud and very much into the ladies, and it was easier for them to get a girl. And most of the girls liked those types of guys. He would just pass by a woman and you wouldn't even really know if he was dating someone. And of course, women usually like to be picked up by a man. Sometimes you have very outgoing women who will go up to a shy, quiet guy, and they recognize his worth, and they realize that he's a deep thinker, and that, wow, he must have some very serious thoughts, and they want to crack that shell, and they will approach him. And that's exactly what this woman did, Trish. She saw something very strong and something very sturdy in Carl. But then eventually, she started to realize that Carl was overbearing with his love, with his energy. It became too much for her. She started to feel maybe like they were moving too quickly, a little too fast. He was giving a lot of love before she was ready to embrace it. You have to remember, she had 6 children. That's a lot. And the youngest one was very young. Like, we're talking maybe under 2 years old. So he was given all that he could give, and he was putting in all his energy, all his desire, all his respect. Everything Carl was everything he was putting into Trish and all 6 of her children. But sometimes when someone is giving you everything, you only want a little bit of something. So she decided that she was going to take a little rest from Carl. And she told him, you know, I think we need to take a little rest. This is really heavy right now. I have something in my life that I need to still pursue. I love you. I think you're an amazing person. You're awesome. Please, let's just hold off, take things slow. Give me a moment. Now, of course, Carl, this scared him. This frightened him. He didn't want a moment. He wanted to give her what she wanted, but he didn't want to give her less than what he was giving. You see, and sometimes that happens in relationships. People look at slowing down as rejection, but most times the other person just needs a break. They need a breather. And it doesn't mean that they don't want to pursue you in the future. And it doesn't mean that they are going to keep the relationship going either. What it does mean is they are giving you respect. They're being honest with the person, and they're saying, hey, listen, I'm not feeling this as much as I once did. I need some time to think. I need some time to pause. I just need to get back to me and what was going on in my life before you started to smother my life with you. Now, he wanted to give her all of his love, all of his energy, all of his presence, and it was getting under her skin. Now, does that mean she didn't care for him? No, she cared for him. Does that mean she didn't respect him? No, she respected him. She really appreciated what he was giving her. It just meant, once again, that she was feeling like it was too much, too quickly, all at once. Well, he took it as rejection, and he didn't listen to her. He didn't give her the space. He didn't give her the respect. He did not pull back. He kept showing up. He kept messaging her, calling. And remember, this was not during cell phone times or pager times even. So if she did not answer her phone, he would be showing up at her house. And when she was outside walking the children, just trying to get back to her motherly routine, he would just show up and follow her, like fall in suit and follow her to where she was going, what she was doing. And it was very hard for her to get rid of him. Number one, because they both lived in the same area. Number two, they knew the same people. Number three, he wasn't a bad guy. He wasn't doing anything wrong to her. She was just slowly feeling smothered and losing interest. Again, him feeling like he met the best thing in his life and her 6 children were so meaningful to him, he thought to himself, he's not ready to let all of that go. He has to show her what they really do mean to each other. He has to describe to her and remind her how much they love each other, the possibility of what their future holds. It made him even more passionate to give even more love. Instead of pulling back and giving her a moment to breathe, he went in even deeper. And that angered her. That made her feel like he was being disrespectful now. Now he wasn't leaving her be. Now he was intruding upon her life. He was intruding upon her wishes. He wasn't listening, and he was now thinking only about himself. Selfishness. And she had to tell him straight, don't come around any longer. Now again, this was difficult because they live in the same area. It's not like she was living somewhere and then she would leave her house, get in her car, and, just happen to meet up with them downtown somewhere. It wasn't like that. It was like she's walking through the neighborhood and he's always going to be right there. And he was. And he made sure of it. There were times where she didn't even want to talk to him. Just leave me alone. And she had to tell him straight. I can remember one time he walked up beside her and she stopped. And she looked at him. And I can remember overhearing her say to him, I told you already, let me be. And she said it in a Jamaican accent, in patois. And he's also Caribbean, so he understood her patois. And he just looked down at the ground He looked around at everybody who heard. We weren't strangers to him, but it was still embarrassing, I'm sure, for him to be seen with her one day, loving her, holding the hands of her children, her smiling, and then the next day she has to stop in the street and beg him to leave her alone. But he didn't do anything violent at that moment. He just let her walk off, and he walked up the street. This went on for roughly 1 month, not very long. And every time when he tried to overstep his boundaries, every time when he allowed his heart to hurt him to the point where he didn't understand her wishes, she would remind him, "You are infringing upon my privacy. You are not listening to me. Please go away." Now, this woman was a very strong woman, but she wasn't wrong. She didn't yell and holler and scream. She was just stern and very direct with her words. She had to tell him many times, "Leave me be. Let me go. You are in my energy. You are crossing boundaries. You won't leave me alone." Over and over and over again. And every time he tried to appeal to her, beg her, tell her that he loves her, she did not want it. She only wanted her life back before him. She did not want to be under his cloud of desire and passion any longer. Now, there were a few times where he tried to get back to playing basketball, but you could see that he was always preoccupied. He tried to hang out with the guys, but you could see that there was a certain energy of depression around him. It wasn't the same laid back, quiet guy. Now he was more intense. His eyes were not focused on people. He wouldn't, laugh with the guys and nod at other people walking by. Now he was just sitting in the crowd. He was present, but his mind was gone. He was thinking about something else. And we all knew he was thinking about Trish. Well, one day, the fatal day came. He went to her place. And he tried to appeal to her. He tried to beg back for her love. He tried to tell her that they can be together. Just give him another chance. Whatever she wants him to do, he'll do. He'll be the person that she wants him to be. But that's not what she wanted. There was nothing wrong with who he was. They just weren't compatible. And he could not understand. He looked at her like she was his future, and he was hers. She was his wife, and he was her husband. He tried to say, "All your kids, I love them so much." But she wasn't looking for a father for her 6 children. She was so much of a good mother that those children were okay. And so, in a state of shock, in a state of panic, bundled up in emotions of depression and rejection, he pulled out a gun and he shot her dead. Some of her children were home at the time. And then he shot himself. He did not want to live without her. But now this is where many of us, neighbors and friends, we all said the same thing. Why didn't he just kill himself? Of course, we don't want to see that. We like the guy. We knew the guy. We grew up with the guy. He wasn't a horrible person. But if he was in that state of mind of where he wanted to take his life, then he should not have been so selfish. The whole time he was selfish. The whole time when she was telling him to go away, he was not listening because he was always thinking about his own emotions, about his own feelings, about his own needs, about his own desires, about his own passion. And he was never respecting her boundaries. And if he really loved those children the way he said that he loved those children, he would not have taken Trish away from them. He would have just taken his own life. And I'm sure if he did do that, Trish would have felt very bad. But nobody would have blamed her for it. She did everything that was required of a woman to do to make sure that a man had to get his idea that he was not wanted in her life. Now, in those days, people really didn't call the police. Stalking was not really something yet. I mean, you called the police back in the day if someone broke into your house, if someone hurt you. But she didn't feel that she needed to call the police on him before that because he loved her and he was following her around. She never ever thought for the life of her that he was going to try to take her life with her children inside of her home and them have to all go to different foster care and family. These are 6 children. They were separated, many of them. And they were good children. And this is what he did. You see, when someone says that they love you so much that they are obsessed with you and they don't take the key, they don't take the information from you, they don't take your words seriously that you are being smothered and you're tired, then they are obsessed. And these days, it is our responsibility as women, as men, in relationships, to say something to the authorities. Get a restraining order. Speak up about it. Be safe. Don't let them in your home. Make sure that you change your locks if they have a key. Make sure you get cameras. They're very inexpensively priced on Amazon. Put cameras around your home. Make sure that you have the tripwire. If someone is walking by your cameras, if someone is walking by your cameras, and if it's late at night, boom, motion sensor goes off. This is what you have to do to protect yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Trish rests in peace. And may her 6 children continue to find the peace that they need to move on. And Carl, I don't believe that what we all thought back in the neighborhood is you were a match made in heaven. I don't believe you guys are together in heaven. I don't think you went to hell. I would never ever say this because you are a child of God. But I don't believe that you have her in death the way you wanted her in life. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining Fairfax Files. This is a story that's very close to my heart, and I just wanted to share this one with you because it is very sad. Thank you so much. Please go ahead and subscribe. Hit that like button down there and let me know that you enjoyed this story. If you have a case you would like me to cover, let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining me. Please be safe out there. And if there's anything that's happening in your life, it's your responsibility to make a report. Don't be afraid. Don't feel like you are making too much of it, because there could be the 1 second that that person all of a sudden loses their mind, sanity, There could be that moment when the person loses their sanity. They could be on the edge of losing their sanity constantly, and you just don't know it. But all of a sudden they lose it. So please, take care of yourself out there. Be safe, and God bless you.